And we are back with ESA Summer Online. Remember, we are raising funds for the Alzheimer Fund. Links to donate can be found below the stream. Thank you so much, our partners Kaspersky, Twitch, and ViewSonic for sponsoring this event. And now it is time for the run of Resident Evil 4 Any Percent Professional by Waifu. Take it away.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Waifu, and I'm joined by two amazing runners of this game, Trikelman and Mike Wave on the commentary.
What's up?
Hello, everyone.
And today we're going to be showing off the best category in RE4, New Game Professional. And we're going to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. So basically, New Game Professional just means you start a new game, which means no things that you would have from previous playthroughs, no unlockable items, so no special 2. Oh, actually, I did not. What was the costume? There was a costume set up for this, actually.
I was just about to ask, because the RPD costume has, in fact, won over the normal. So
okay,
that
is what I thought. Yes. So we will be playing with the classic RE2 Leon costume. But yes, we will be playing New Game Professional, so the hardest difficulty in the game on a new game file. So we can't use special 2. Nice crit. We can't use like infinite weapons or have money stored over from previous playthroughs. And this is basically like the purest form of this game. This game was like really designed to be played on harder difficulties, and it really accentuates like the resourcefulness that the older Resident Evil games would have in a game like this. And this is like by far the most popular category, at least nowadays, and is like insanely popular and optimized. Yeah. But basically, basically we're just we're Leon S. Kennedy. We're here to save the president's daughter, and we're gonna stop at no end to do so. And one of the first things we have to overcome is a big section where we're gonna have to kill a lot of enemies to end it. And if someone wants to explain that, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so I believe you have to kill 16 enemies in the village to progress to the next point, unless if you want to time it out. But since we're in a speed run, we want to go fast. And Waifu's going to do a specific kill setup where he's positioned behind these logs right here, and he kills one person. So when he sets up the upcoming grenade throw, there's going to spawn more enemies, and then he'll grab a second grenade from upstairs, which will hopefully kill enough enemies to trigger the cutscene.
Yeah, so we're going to
something else. Oh, sorry.
Yeet that little nade to the hole, come upstairs, grab some stuff, go downstairs, and hopefully, if I do it correctly, this nade will kill just enough enemies that it'll end the sequence.
Yeah, you saw Waifu actually moving around items in his inventory already, and that's going to be a setup for later. So when he buys additional items, and as well as picking up additional items, everything will fall into the correct spot and just make a more optimal inventory.
Yeah, speaking of which, like, this game has been optimized quite a bit. So, like, all these item movements that Waifu's doing and all these specific treasure pickups, like, these are optimized to speedrun this game, which is actually insane when you compare it to a casual run. Like, you never think about things at this point.
Yeah, it's actually gotten so much to the point where if you want, like, a really, really top time, you basically know what your inventory is going to look like no matter what happens throughout the entirety of the run, which is kind of crazy because the run's pretty long. I'm not like quite at that level. Once I get into like the island area, my inventory starts to kind of go amok, but at like the super high level, you know exactly where everything's going to go all the time. It's really, really impressive. So here, there's a little skip that I wanted to go through, but I didn't. It's awesome. It's called tree skip. It's amazing. If you keep mashing the QTE as long as you possibly can before jumping, you'll roll into the tree, which skips having to go around it. Saves 1 whole second. Downside is, if you miss it, you die, and that it's not a very big time save, but you always got to go for it, for sure.
Yeah, so once you are at that high level that Waifu was mentioning, you kind of do get a feel for like how the inventory works, like how items immediately go into your box, like left to right and all that, like if they go horizontally or vertically by default and all that. And you're going to see him as he progresses through this room. He's going to pick up even more items, all for later. And this is a room that is like that works based on like how fast you are, because enemies will just move on their own right here. So you're going to see him just running past every single enemy as per like RE tradition.
Yeah, and this room in particular is kind of a nightmare because there's so many enemies, and it doesn't have any. I don't think there's any spots in the whole game where enemy spawn position is random, or like amount of enemies.
No.
But once they're spawned and once they aggro, their AI can be very random. So I actually got really lucky, and that bridge had only one enemy on it. Sometimes it can have many enemy on it.
Yeah, speaking of enemy AI, the big thing about playing on professional AI. Oh wow, nice headshot. But speaking about enemy AI on professional, the enemies are at the highest difficulty, so their aggressiveness is like the top. Like, so they're in a way they're consistent, and it's more reliable to do certain strats. Whereas on lower difficulties, the difficulty adjustment, it fluctuates, and sometimes on the lower difficulties, like you have no idea what the enemies are going to do. But on professional, you have. They're like, I'd say 99%, okay, 90% reliable, because you never know with the enemies, certain enemies coming up, you never know.
Yeah, but basically that's the main reason that you do run on pro. It actually makes it so that professional is the fastest difficulty. Well, not the fastest. Easy is faster, but for different reasons. Some sections of the game aren't even in easy. But when it comes to like pure optimization, like professional will always be faster than normal, because it's just way more predictable, and it allows you to optimize things in a way that's just simply not possible at lower difficulties.
No need for DA manip or anything like that on pro. So like DA stands for difficulty adjustment. That's how we refer to it. It's not only in this game, it's also in RE2 and RE3 remake. But like there's going to be no taking damage intentionally or anything like that.
Yeah, so you can get like a perfect like streamlined run. There's no like like weird like taking damage to make things easier or manipulating rooms or anything. It basically just comes down to like how well you can perform, whether or not you get RNG, and just playing over. I give up. Move on.
Playing well and playing consistent. Like, I think that's what Waifu's trying to say.
Yes, exactly.
There are rooms like that one.
So.
There are rooms like that one where you can get like different enemy behaviors. Like that first enemy in that pack can like move to the right or just stay to the left, and like you have to change your like line based on like what he does. There's gonna be a lot of that in this game, where just like you go into a room expecting like 2 or 3 different patterns, and you just have to know like how to react to it.
Yeah, the infamous one is the water hall, which you'll see in a little bit.
Yeah, that good old right side guy. But yeah, we've been collecting very specific treasures, and that's because this is a early 2000s Capcom game, which means that the economy is absolutely busted. Basically, all the early 2000s Capcom games, the economy in it is just totally annihilated. Like Devil May Cry is a perfect example. But in this game, the reason it's broken is because rocket launchers are only $30,000, and each treasure like that is $10,000. So I spent, I think, not picking them up and no merchant saves like 5 seconds. So I spent about 5 seconds picking up a rocket launcher. It's really like not out of the way at all. And because of that, we're going to be using rockets for pretty much every boss in the game, because it is just like so cost effective. It's way faster. Yeah.
It's just faster.
Don't worry, just letting the audience know we're gonna meme about the hardest boss in the game, like multiple times when you just kill him with a rocket. So
some of them are hard, dude. You ever accidentally hit yourself with a rocket at Gigante?
Yeah, and U3 have definitely done it.
The best is when you miss at U3. Just go right through his arm.
Yeah, so if you're playing casual, it's actually really fun watching all these like item pickups that Waifu's doing. Like, you can go back through the game and like you'll never know that, oh, there's a bird's nest here that carried a grenade, or this particular bird carried a flash grenade. It's pretty cool. Like when I first started speedrunning this game, or when I first watched people speedrun, I just learned so many new things that like I never knew before.
Yeah, it's especially cool too because a lot of what you might think are random drops are actually fixed drops. Like that very first crow at the very beginning that drops a grenade, always a grenade. That crow that we just shot that drops a flash, always a flash. Actually, most drops in this game are fixed. The ones that aren't are mostly from enemy deaths, but like most crates and stuff like that are actually fixed drops, which not a lot of people know.
Yeah, it'd be easier to actually point out which barrels and crates and stuff like that actually have random drops.
And I think they did
one of
that.
the hardest. Oh, go on.
I think they did it on purpose because, especially on like professional, they want you to have enough resources to actually be able to beat everything.
You're gonna see him get another treasure right here. There's gonna be a couple more treasures we pick up throughout the village section, because once we get to the castle, which is a couple chapters in, we're gonna do a complete like inventory revamp. And right here we have the first boss of the game, which unironically is actually like one of the toughest bosses in the speedrun.
Yeah,
I saw that.
this is Lago. He's super hard. One of these guys could explain that.
Okay, so Lago, it's the main thing about Lago is that you don't want to get hit off the boat, like even in casual play, because it loses a lot of time. But this very first part is pretty consistent. These first 3 harpoons are consistent, and then Lago can give you 1 of 3 patterns, which is actually doesn't sound that bad, but trying to get around it, it's pretty hard. And on 60 FPS, which Waifu is playing on, the hitboxes on these like log things are huge. And like he's doing very specific like boat movements to make sure that he has like optimal patterns and movements so that he doesn't get hit.
Yikers, dude.
Yeah, so right there you see he got staggered when the fish came up, or the salamander technically. So if he got that down, he would have been able to save, I think, 6 seconds, I think. But then he missed another harpoon.
Waifu will be fine here, but yeah, normally like even missing a harpoon costs like probably what, like 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's like 3 seconds ish. But there are 3. Okay, so there are 3 more patterns at this point. So there's an early dive, a late dive, and a no dive. And between each dives, like it saves or loses 8 seconds each. So you can have a maximum of 16 seconds of time loss, all because of RNG, which is very frustrating for speedrunners.
Yeah, it's the single most reset heavy point in the whole game, or at least in early game. It's like the first really big one, because you get like 10 minutes in, and it's like, okay, I played perfectly for 10 minutes. Now I lost 20. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, not much you can do. You just sometimes you'll just take it and you'll be like, okay, pray that cabin's really good, because that's the next big RNG section is cabin. It's coming up in a couple minutes.
Yeah, when you run this game like a lot, you begin to get used to like just resetting whenever you get like an early dive. You just see the beginning of that animation, you're just like, well, back to 1-1.
Back to village. The village grind. I'm gonna do some RE8 runs.
Yeah, so one thing that is noted, like during nighttime, these plagas of tentacle heads come out, and then if you look at the lore, they're sensitive to ultraviolet light, so that's why they come out at night. But luckily you have a weapon that can destroy a plaga right away, or most plagas right away. You have the flash grenade, which I think, in my opinion, is the most broken item in speedrunning this game. I don't know if Mike or Waifu would agree with that, but I think it is.
Yeah.
Besides the rocket, the flash, yeah.
It's kind of funny because the merchant actually values flashes as like the least valuable one, but in speedrunning, flashes are just insanely broken.
They're also pretty rare, right? I'm pretty sure there's like way more fixed spawns for the other types of nades.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, we're gonna put all that hard economics work to good use here when we fight Gigante. And I know we didn't save the dog, but it's only because we don't want to burden him with this fight. You know, it's a really hard fight. You know, we don't want to bring him into our battles.
Something I should mention that I don't know if we explained it yet. The reason you see him running around with the rocket launcher already is because it actually does make you move about 4% faster if you have a rocket launcher, a grenade, an egg, or nothing equipped. So, like, optimally, if you're going to be running around for a while, you're going to see, like, Waifu switching over to, like, a rocket or a grenade or something like that.
Our hardest boss in the game?
Yeah,
oh, that was tough.
We really, really don't want to have the dog being on that. It gets messy, so just do it ourselves, I guess.
All right, so we're about to enter the church. So we're going to see Ashley coming up. Spoilers, but Ashley is, as Waifu said before, the president's daughter, and once we get her, it's more of an escort mission. And for people playing the game casually, it's actually very annoying and very difficult to keep track of her. But as a speedrunner, it's also very hard to as well when you're starting off. But once you get better, you start understanding like very specific things about manipulating Ashley. Like she can hold doors open, and she also runs on Leon's left side behind him, which is very important for like certain movements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whenever you're doing lines of Ashley, you always want to go to like the left of enemies so she won't get like stuck on them and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, Ashley's annoying, she's at least consistent. Like, most of the time. Like, consistent as anything in RE4. Like, 95% consistent. So, that's at least nice. And a lot of people talk smack about Ashley, but honestly, this is like the best escort mission game ever made, in my opinion. So, the fact that most of it's an escort mission and it's so good is a pretty good sign to me, at least.
It's a skill to manipulate Ashley, too. Like, people think that she's random, but she's actually not. At least most of the time, like we said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very hard. Most of the hardest movement rooms in the game involve Ashley. I would say, at least. But the main thing is, if she gets grabbed, she can't free herself, so you have to free her. So you can never let her get grabbed, otherwise it's super slow. When she does animations like climbing ladders and opening doors, it's also super slow.
So here we have a very specific manip. So Waifu's going to open the door in a certain way, slow enough, so when Ashley climbs up the ladder, she doesn't have to open the door, which loses you about a second and a half. So he paced himself properly, so Ashley just runs through the door.
Yeah, because having her stop to actually force open the door herself is actually a lot slower than to just wait a little bit to keep the door open.
Doing my strat in that room where he just runs past that pitchfork guy.
Yeah, the Mike Wade strat is still partially RNG, sadly to say.
Yeah, it is. But actually, we did something there as well. We abused the wait-follow mechanic. Basically, you could tell Ashley to wait or follow wherever, and the call-out from Leon actually aggroes enemies, and we use that to manipulate their movement to let us climb right past them.
Yeah. You're going to see all the enemies are on the left side there, so Waifu can just like escort Ashley right through him. And there he's killing this helpless merchant.
Alright, Mike, do you want to explain Cabin?
Yeah, I can. So Cabin is a sequence where you're basically locked in this cabin with this NPC named Lewis, who you don't really learn about in the speedrun because we skip all the cutscenes. But basically, we got to kill 40 enemies or run out of timer. And since we are in a speedrun, it is faster to kill the 40 enemies. So you're going to see Waifu throwing around a bunch of grenades right here, about 4 grenades to be precise.
Oh, wow.
And,
he got the invincibility frames.
Yeah, the guy got the iframes. But yeah, he's running upstairs now to grab some more grenades. And yeah, so basically you're just throwing these grenades out each window. At each window, there spawns about 3 enemies each. So when he throws a grenade out, it kills 3 enemies. But he's going to wait for these enemies to congregate inside so he can just kill like 9 at once, optimally.
Yeah, so the reason why we knife Lewis or like aim at him so Lewis doesn't shoot enemies, and we want enemies to pour into the cabin to maximize our grenade efficiency. And it's also important to note that Waifu's picking up these items in a very specific way as well for the inventory manipulation that we talked about at the beginning of the game. Because if you pick everything up upstairs, you have to remember that you still have the grenades that you haven't thrown yet, and that messes up your inventory.
Yeah, in the order that he picked them up, everything will go in the correct spot, and it'll allow for some easier inventory manip like later.
You hear that? That's the sound of time loss.
Yeah, that's
Cabin
the sound of Lewis getting hit.
Cabin is like one of the most RNG heavy things in the game, and this is because like after the initial grenade sequence, I think you end up normally with about 28, 29 kills. Which is like
I think it's 25.
25 kills.
Yeah, I think 25.
So and you have to get to 40 for the sequence to end. So basically after that it becomes random, and you can get up to 2 Las Plagas in the cabin. That was a good cabin. In the cabin at once, and it's totally random. As well as like what enemies do, who they attack. Sometimes they'll attack you. Sometimes they'll attack Lewis. The big meme is. Lewis will get stun locked by a Plaga downstairs, and just loop forever. Die, da, da, and
And
you will lose.
There's nothing you can do
minutes.
about it.
Yeah. That's probably the most memey section of the game. So here's Yushi change.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to
Yeah.
the world record holder Yushi. He found that strat. Basically, I'm playing on mouse and keyboard. Me and Mike are one of the few mouse and keyboard runners. But if you're playing, no one saw that. I definitely forgot to tingle Ashley to come follow me. But that's fine.
Oh no!
I've done that before. I've done that.
She got yeeted by the giant. It's okay. It was off camera. But basically, your sensitivity is so high, especially on the modern mouse settings, that you can actually knife swipe all 3 chains at once, and this saves a little bit of time.
Yeah, I'll admit I run the game on gamepad, and for this section I switched to keyboard and mouse on modern, so because it's faster.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really broken stuff you can do with the keyboard and mouse controls in this game because of the mouse acceleration, as well as because later on you need like the mouse to do some tricky rifle shots.
Yeah, so one important thing to note, the biggest difference between keyboard and mouse and gamepad is how the tank controls operate. So on keyboard and mouse, you move the mouse to rotate the camera, and then you can move with WASD. But the important part, when you quick turn, when you aim with the weapon, you turn instantly to where your camera is. And on gamepad, you're only limited to, I believe, like 90-degree-ish, whereas on keyboard and mouse, you can do 270-degree turns. So in theory, keyboard and mouse is faster, but it's harder to pick up. So.
Yeah, I think most people would agree with like keyboard and mouse has a higher skill ceiling potentially, but it's a lot easier to play controller for most people.
Yeah,
there's actually
one.
Yeah, like world record holder uses controller for like most strats, so like it's definitely viable either way. There is like a lot of weird finicky quirks with the keyboard and mouse though. Like there's 2 different mouse settings. There's modern and there's classic. I believe modern has mouse acceleration and classic has mouse deceleration. So neither of them are like just raw input. So they're a little bit jank to deal with. As well as like some weird finicky stuff like you can't turn the camera while running and holding A or D and like weird stuff like that. But overall I like it a lot. I know Mike's been doing it for a long time too, and a lot of strats in this game actually require keyboard and mouse. So people that do run controller, if they're going for like really high end times, well, for specific strats, switch to keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, speaking of which, you were a gamepad player originally, right? How do you think the transition over to keyboard and mouse was?
It was hard. It took about a month to beat my time. I got like a 135 or something. Maybe it was like a lower than that a little bit. On controller, and then I switched to keyboard and mouse, and then I PB'd in that. Took about a month or so.
All right, so we got the Village Chief, aka Mendez, aka Big Cheese, coming up. So, Mike, what's his big weakness?
His weakness is actually fire. You fight him in a flaming warehouse, ironically enough.
That's crazy, Chief.
Yeah. So you're gonna see him just kill the boss of 4 incendiary grenades right here. As you can see, even on pro, it only takes 4. And he's gonna time this last one over here with the barrel on the right. Then it drops down.
Yeah, it's important that the fire grenade explodes in range and the barrel explodes, because then you want the double damage.
Yeah. And I believe it also does more damage because it's at 60 FPS. Which,
yes, on 30 FPS, there you have to pick up an extra fire grenade, I believe, and a knife. I think. Like, I'm not 100% sure, but on the 30 FPS strats, it's different.
Yeah, it's 5 incendiaries and a knife swipe.
Yeah, and 30, it's just one of the differences between 30 and 60 FPS because the PC port actually has the option to play on 30 or 60 FPS. And originally, a lot of people played at 30 FPS, but then it was found that like just literally everything is faster at 60. But there are more skips at 30. Although the bridge is being gapped, lots of new tech is being found in this game all the time. Particularly stuff that was at 30 FPS exclusively is being found out possible to be done at 60 FPS. There's 2 new strats specifically that I'm going to be doing in this run that within like a year, I think, that's been discovered, which is really cool because this game is really old and new stuff being found for it all the time is like really cool.
Yeah, there's like one big skip later on that for the longest time we thought was not possible on 60, and then someone found a really easy way to do it on not only 60 FPS, but like basically any version of the game, like literally any of them. It's crazy. Like,
That's
I
what-
don't know what up with that.
See, like I don't even know which skip we're talking about because we could be referring to two of them.
Oh,
Like,
island skip.
yeah, I was thinking
Yeah, there's a lot
either
of them.
that or the Red Zealot skip too.
Yeah, that
That's
one
the
too.
other one I was referring to. Yeah. So
All right, so we're gonna be approaching the. Oh, go on. Sorry.
So we finished village. We're entering castle, and this is where a lot is going to change. We're going to swap out our whole inventory at the merchant here, and then we are going to be doing a lot more skilled rooms. So a lot of rooms that are a lot harder than some of the rooms we were doing in village.
So you see here, like he said, his own inventory change. All the items we picked up that we're selling and like all the item placements they fall into place right here specifically. And it's also important to note, like this whole setting is totally different. The music changes, the enemies are different. So it's a nice change of pace, in my opinion. Like once you're able to leave village casually or in a speed run.
Yeah, I think the run really starts once you get to castle, because that's where like the hard stuff starts coming out. Less RNG, really not that much RNG in castle.
There's still RNG. It's just it's
You gotta
so
adapt,
specific
that's all.
rooms.
Yeah, less RNG that just straight up ends your run, I guess I would say. At least at my level. At the highest level, there's definitely a lot of stuff that ends your run. Wow, Leon is very afraid of that catapult, and Ashley is very not.
Yeah, that stagger loses you about 3 seconds, and it's RNG. So
Yeah, where the
Oh my
mortars, like
God.
fire at is random.
You guys think that Ashley's just like
Oh, man.
super confident? Like,
yeah, she is. So here's a
or she's just like
manipulation.
totally oblivious.
Sorry, so here's a manipulation where Waifu tells Ashley to wait right here because that guy that just picked her up, if Ashley wasn't there, he would run up with a sight and swipe at Leon. And we don't want that.
Yeah.
And once you trigger this cannon cutscene, it resets the whole room. All the enemies despawn, so it works out.
Yeah, all the enemies are just
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna head out. He got to the cannon. It's fine. And then the wall just spontaneously combusts, so you can leave, which is cool.
Yeah, fun fact: if you leave Ashley in front of that castle door, it's a game over because that cannon technically kills her.
Does it really?
Yeah, it does.
And, that's funny too, is
you're gonna-
because it doesn't actually shoot anything. It just like has a little poof, and then the door explodes.
Yeah, you saw Waifu leaving this room and then re-entering in order to reset the enemies. Because if you're in there for too long, there's a group of enemies that spawn downstairs. So by leaving and then re-entering, it's actually faster to just avoid them.
Yeah, and a
Also,
lot of this game actually, since
go ahead.
unprofessional, can be manipulated with very specific movement. This is a room that we thought for a long time was RNG, but it turns out if you tell Ashley to wait in specific spots and then have good movement, you will always get the same pattern every single time, which is like really, really cool.
yeah, fun fact, you actually don't need to do this room on easy. It's one of the several rooms that you just skip on that difficulty, and why it's so much faster than this category.
All right, so we're coming up on like I guess the bosses that are well known. So we have a sub boss called the Gyarados, aka Wolverine guy, and then we'll have I call it a boss, the Water Hall. That whole room is a boss. Like
Yeah,
like,
it's honestly the
very
hardest
hard.
room in the game casually, and in the speedrun, honestly.
Yeah, that room is very, very notorious for a lot of casual players, I think. Like, that's where a lot of casual playthroughs probably died, because people just went like, I can't get past this room.
Yeah, I think like in terms of speedrunning this game, this is the room where there's RNG and like you have to adapt to like every single there's not even like specific patterns. Like there might be, but like most of it is you adapt to it as it goes, and it's not really consistent.
So Gyarados just gets totally annihilated by my YY double ladder stall quick scope montage. and then we have Ashley waiting in a specific spot so we can follow her to manipulate these enemies.
Yeah, so what
Into
you
just
noticed there
turning
was
around.
that. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what you noticed was Waifu unscoped and rescoped the semi-auto rifle, which it says in the. I don't remember what the firing speed is, but if you unscope, rescope on this weapon specifically, it's faster. And then if you don't do it during that Gyarados fight, then you actually don't you can't do the strat that Waifu did.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
see Waifu using his rifle to kill those 4 enemies right there. We do have a new strat that doesn't involve killing those 2 crossbow guys. But for a marathon, this strat that he's doing is much safer. Those crossbow guys are a real pain in the butt. Like kind of understating it, but yeah. And he's just gonna be running around now with the TMP.
Yeah, this is definitely the room where you have to have like the most adaptability in the whole game, because it's never exactly the same.
And this room also exemplifies why the TMP is so strong for the speedrun, by the way, because I know a lot of people think this weapon is super weak, but for the speedrun, it is insanely OP. Just look at
There's
this.
the right
Oh,
side.
we got
guy.
right side guy.
Yeah.
So
Should be
yeah,
fine.
so here Waifu threw the fire grenade to stall the shield guy, because usually the shield guy, like, you don't want to waste bullets on him, so you throw the fire grenade. Oh my lord,
We did it.
that was crazy.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was good. I would applaud for you, but we're not live in person.
So yeah, that's gonna be the hardest room in the game for quite a while, and that went really well. This section, I'm basically just gonna be defending Ashley, and it would be a perfect time for quite a few donations.
Perfect, because we do have a few waiting to be read. The merchant donates $20 saying, I've got some rare things on sale, stranger. Thank you very much. Mr. Harvey donates $10 and says, yo, it's the Matlad Waifu showing how RE4 is done. Good luck with the run, and when RE4? And last but not least, $5 from Mr. Zombie UK saying, Waifu, follow me. Thank you so much for the donations. And with that, we have actually passed $36,000 for the Alzheimer Fund. And that's very amazing. Keep them coming, folks. You're awesome.
That's awesome.
Nice. Thank you guys out there for your donations to a good cause.
Thank you.
Yeah, for real.
So we are picking items very specifically, but we also have to kill a certain amount of guys in this room. So you'll notice that Waifu isn't killing all the guys, because not all the guys will get to Ashley, but he's basically going to kill a certain amount of guys and then run and pick up all the rest of the items in the room that will help us in the run.
Yeah, because basically it's just an auto scroller. Once you kill everyone that you know can possibly get to Ashley, she's completely safe. So you're just waiting for her to finish the cranks.
Mm-hmm.
Did I not shoot running guy?
Oh,
I am
I don't think you
confusion.
did.
That's fine. Once you kill everyone that could possibly get Ashley, everything is perfectly fine. right, guys? It's just great.
Yeah, don't worry, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's just there are certain backup items pickups, because you'll notice that Waifu used a lot of rifle ammo, but there are some backup rifle ammo in the game. Plus, you can get drops as well. So it's not like, oh, if you mess up, like the run's over.
Yeah.
But it is all inventory management, because something that you mess up now might screw you over later in the run, and it's definitely like not a good thing.
Yeah, and in the village, you'll notice that I didn't pick up any money drops that are just like on the floor. That's because it's generally considered not worth it, because the animation takes a little bit of time, and they really don't generally drop more than 1,000. But once we get into the castle, that changes, because we're gonna need to get a little bit of money off of the ground. Our route isn't perfect to have the most optimal buys the whole way through without picking up stuff. But for the most part, it's pretty guaranteed that you'll run over enough money. But you might see me like go a little bit out of the way to get that every now and again. But with that, we're finally free from Ashley, and thank God too, because we're about to go into the worst enemies in the game, Novis or Novistadors. These guys, if you ever watched an RE4 speedrun, it probably never got past here, because Novis are hell. They are the worst. Basically, they are invisible bugs that really like to annihilate you. You're going to see me doing a lot of camera movement here, and that's because, like most Capcom games, the enemies become less aggressive or do specific things with their AI when they're not on camera. With Novis, this is the case, as they will never do the kick QTE prompt attack if you are not looking at them. Never as in RE4 never, so 95% never, but that's better than, definitely getting the attack. And
Dude,
this is good because this is good because that attack, it is like literally impossible to outrun. Even with like a speed glitch that we're going to be doing later, if you see the kick prompt, you basically have to hit it, or you will get hit. So obviously doing a big kick QT animation is pretty slow, especially since it messes with your movement. Like in this room, it messes with making the correct cycle for here. It can get like you stun locked with enemies. But that was actually a really good Novi's one. It went pretty perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be pretty happy with that in my run. So
I should note this is like, in my opinion, the worst chapter in the whole game. Like this is like probably the worst stream of rooms in the entire game. I think you're gonna see him shoot that enemy right there. Because if you just drop down or like miss a shot or something, you'll get like this long cutscene that you have to watch. And we're going to be running right now into the gallery portion of the game, which, in my opinion, is like my least favorite room. And this is also weird. Yeah, this is the part where we are going to be doing that skip we mentioned earlier that we thought was not possible on 60 before. If one of you guys wants to explain it.
yeah, so on 30 FPS, I believe if you throw a fire grenade that will hit the red zealot guy, so when you're about to jump down, if you throw a fire grenade that will hit the red zealot guy and you jump down like right away, then a weird cutscene will happen where he doesn't, because normally he appears on like the other side where you have to shoot him with a rifle in normal speedruns.
Nice.
But with that fire grenade, you see he's stuck there instead of running through as normal, and he ends up right in front of you, which it saves time because now you can kill him. You don't have to run across the hall to pick up the key, which you need to get past this room.
Yeah, basically we turn him into Ricky Bobby and convince him that he's on fire, and this causes him to not run. But that only works if you don't skip the cutscene. If you skip the cutscene, he teleports to the other side. And the original strat was to just jump down and then hit some sick flicks and headshot him to death, but that saves like another 15 seconds. And that was originally thought to only be possible at 30 FPS. The setup is very strict, but it is possible at 60.
Yeah, I think like a lot of players have their different setups for it. Like it's not super duper strict, but I think it's more important that you get the timing down, because if you don't jump down right away, then that messes everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because what happens, it's not that you're actually hitting him with the fire grenade. What happens is when you hit the cutscene, he does a little bit of movement where he runs forward, and he actually runs into the fire grenade. Because like I don't think it's actually possible to hit him directly with it from like any conceivable like sick spin move, dude. But yeah, timing it so that the fire grenade explodes and then he walks into it is what makes that work.
Yeah, clean gallery. He got out of there. So when he shot the base and got out of that room, that is where, in my opinion, the worst like RNG happens, because you never know once you like hit that base, you never know if the door's gonna open or if it's not. And if it doesn't, you kick it open, there might be 1 million enemies or 0 enemies. You never know.
Yeah, you could potentially just be insta-killed and like the run's over.
I've been wall comboed before, and like there's nothing I could have done.
Yeah, that's because there's sometimes rocket launcher enemies that spawn on 2 separate walls. There's sometimes more scythe guys that spawn. Sometimes archers will spawn early. Sometimes no enemies will spawn. You can just leave. That's a good one. That's always nice. But yeah, that's like that actually is like the only location in the whole game with RNG enemy spawns. And I don't think I honestly don't think it's intentional. It feels like the room's just broken, to be honest. But that's just me. Now we're gonna run through.
Broken.
Yeah, now we're gonna run through this maze with the doggos, and we saw the doggos briefly earlier, but their incompetence is shown more so here. Basically, if you don't run directly into them, they will never hit you. Of course, RE4 never, so sometimes it happens, but it almost never happens. And especially if you turn the camera up, they won't even attack like 90% of the time.
Yeah. The dogs in this game have taken a serious downgrade from the OG trilogy.
Yeah, that's for sure. Not in the RE1 remake dogs here, that's for sure.
All right, we're coming up on the shortest chapter of the game, 3-3, and you'd be surprised at how short this chapter is compared to 4-1, actually.
Yeah, there's the pacing in the chapters is like kind of weird in this game. Some of them are super duper long, and some of them are really short. This one is really, really short.
Okay, so we face the second Gyarados of the game, but since it's a speed run, we aren't going to kill him because we don't need to. We just get out of there.
I'm gonna show off a little cooler strat that I saw the world record holder Yushi doing the other day. Basically, once you down these enemies, for some reason pausing, just chilling for a bit, makes it so that the mace dude on the left here just like never aggroes, and then you can use that to equip the rocket for faster movement speed early, and then run right past these dudes. If you do it perfectly and your movement's super good, they'll hold the door open, and it makes it like a couple seconds faster.
I actually didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool. Double.
So Rip Lewis. Nice. Just saw the double.
This is one of those rooms that people that play on controller will do a lot on keyboard and mouse, because hitting these shots like really fast actually saves quite a bit of time. That last dude I killed there, the third one, he actually has an RNG death animation, but you can eliminate the RNG by shooting him as soon as it's feasibly possible. He will always do a fast death if you do it like that, and it's only really doable on keyboard and mouse because you can only aim that fast.
Yeah, I think it's based on how far he spawns away from Ashley once he dies. Because even if he does a slow death animation, because he's so far away, I believe that Ashley gets up earlier. And one thing to mention is that so Waifu specifically shot the red zealot in the leg so that he falls over, and he throws a grenade which kills all the enemies in the room, which frees Ashley. If you mess up any one of those, then enemies will, if you don't kill the red zealot, enemies will spawn, and that's not good for a speed run. And if you miss a grenade, then the enemy's still alive, and then you'll have to waste time to kill them.
Yeah, basically we skipped like a mini cycle there by killing everyone at the same time, so the nade throw is pretty precise.
Yeah, if you miss that grenade, that's actually a pretty easy way to lose a run. Like, I've lost a lot of runs there.
Especially like this run where I don't have that much extra, I don't have like really any extra rifle ammo. It could be really detrimental to have to do that. It might just be better to reset the room, honestly.
Yeah, so now we're playing as Ashley. As per RE tradition, we play as a different character for a tiny segment. In this game, it's Ashley, and you basically just run around collecting stuff as her to get back to Leon.
Yeah, I believe in the Japanese version of this game, this section actually has fixed cameras, which is really cool.
Yeah, it does. It's the only part of the game that has fixed camera angles, but it's only on the Japanese version.
The Japanese version
coming out?
Also has amateur. It's the only version of the game that has the amateur difficulty, which is even easier than easy, which is insane because easy is super easy.
Yeah, like on amateur, you can kill Del Lago in like 5 harpoon hits. Actually, if you died one of the cutscenes earlier, actually,
that's so insane.
Compared to like, I think it's almost like 13 on pro or something. And yeah, just Waifu's gonna be running past all these I forgot what they're called, like night
armored
like, they're like,
Armorers.
yeah, they're basically like suits of armor that have like Plagas inhabiting them and controlling them.
Which doesn't make sense
actually
at all,
pretty
according to lore.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
it
it
doesn't
does not.
really, but not much in this game makes sense though.
Yeah, it's a schlocky B action movie. It works good enough.
Yeah, we're gonna be going back to Leon in just a little bit. So we actually do not pick up anything as Ashley besides the key items, because if you don't, then like the game will force open like this inventory menu where it tries to like, you try to move items from Ashley's inventory to Leon's, and it takes forever. So obviously we don't want that. And we're going to be moving on to 4-1, which is the longest chapter in the entire game.
4-1 is super long. It's so what what was 3-4 is the super short one?
3-3 is like
3-3.
3-3, yeah.
2 minutes long. What the 4-1's like 15,
it's
13,
like 10 to 13 minutes long.
It's super long, and it has like most of the stuff that is like really hard or could kill a run. It has another Novisador section. It has the introduction at the very end of the Ditman glitch, which is going to be the backbone of the run once we get there. And then it's going to have Vertigo QTE skip, which is arguably the hardest skip in the game. And a whole lot of in-between rooms that are all fairly difficult. So it's a nice, fun section of the run.
Yeah, so it's important to know here.
Oh, God.
It's important to note that Waifu delayed those rifle shots on the locks specifically because if you try to shoot them too early, they actually don't have a hitbox, so your bullet just goes right through them. So he waited like for a little bit and then shot the locks, and then you should still make the merry-go-round cycle.
Yep, the tricycle.
Oh man, all right, Mike, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, like 4-1 is probably like the defining moment of the speedrun because that's when you can kind of tell if you're like actually gonna get a run going. This and the next chapter, for reasons we'll talk about. But yeah, I would say like 4-1 is definitely like the hardest chapter in the entire run.
Has anyone ever explained why there's a lava room in a castle?
No idea.
Because it would look cool, man. Like they were spitballing that day in the writer's room, and they were going like, like room full of lava inside a castle would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I imagine there's an in-lore reason, like maybe Salazar really likes lava or something. I don't know.
Like someone told me on my stream chat that like apparently they dug really deep to mine for plagas, and that's why the lava is there. But I don't know if that's actually a thing.
Dude, they went down to diamond level to find some plagas.
Yeah,
there's lava all over the place once you go below 16, dude.
Mining for diamonds.
Be careful. I mean, it makes sense, dude. They sent the villagers, and they're out here grinding for emeralds. Found some lava.
Like you have like a horizontal map of the whole thing, but they should have like a vertical map with like levels. Like we could see cool. like how everything looks in like RE4.
Wait. Oh! There we go.
Okay, so this section coming up, this only works in this room, but there's gonna be 4 red like buttons that you can shoot early before triggering the room, and only in this room because there's one that comes up later which doesn't work. If you shoot them early here, and then when you trigger the room, then the room sort of like completes right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here you're confronted by Salazar, and he's like, "I trapped you. You're gonna die." But then it immediately ends. So, like, because you already shot everything, it's pretty.
Can we talk a little bit about these 2 dudes and this giant like drill machine that like basically lived inside the wall until Leon and Ashley came?
That's why they die in 1 bullet, dude. They're emaciated. They've been like Salazar literally built the machine, put it behind a wall, threw up some drywall, and it's like, okay, if anyone comes here, it's you guys. You got this. I believe in you. And finally, one day, someone did. And unfortunately, they have like literally anything to kill them. I think they even like might die in like an egg hit or something.
I think someone has killed them with an egg. I'm pretty sure. All right, so we are coming up on the knights here. These are hard casually, but there's like a few setups. Well, the one that he's doing is the one that like all the runners use now. But you basically what we were talking about earlier, the plagas are sensitive to ultraviolet light. So with the rifle shot to the head, he's gonna trigger all the plagas spawning and throw a flash grenade to kill them. And we do that twice.
Yeah, this is another pretty tricky like skill mechanical based part of the run.
No memes.
Also a part of the run which is also easier on keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, that last dude, I said no memes because for some reason, sometimes he'll just randomly take 2 shots to the head.
Yeah.
No idea why, it just happens. So
yeah,
you gotta make sure to watch for it.
Yeah, either it'll just bounce off his head or he'll just like stagger and then like nothing will happen.
Yeah, so coming up is Ashley manipulation with the aggro with the wait follow me. So all the enemies will follow Leon to like one side, and then he's gonna just go around all of them.
And coming up here we have probably one of the most notorious rooms in the entire run.
Ooh,
Navis 2.
So
yep.
First they were invisible, and I quote from Star Wars, they fly now. And it makes it worse. It's actually...
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, that was close. Okay, so I was like holding my breath there too. So you can have bad RNG, and these Novis can like attack you within 2 seconds of this room, and there's nothing you can do about it, which is really unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, perfect Novies.
And
Okay, that was
yeah,
really
the thing
scary.
that
Nice.
yeah, that was good. The thing that really sucks if you throw a flash and before the flash activates, you get grabbed by a Novi, then that Novi does not get flashed, which is really unfortunate because all the flash that stunned all the other Novis basically like since you're getting attacked by the Novi, it negates it.
Yeah, but so and also, Novies get stunned for approximately like 3 or 4 times longer if they're on the ground as opposed to in the air. And so if they're on the ground or in the air, it's totally random. So you just pray that when you're running that they all land, because if they're not landing, then you may as well not throw the flash sometimes because they will just fly right into you.
Yeah, another bad RNG thing that happened. So Waifu got through this fine, but before he went through that door, the catapult, so mortars could have hit him, and there's nothing he could have done about that.
Yeah, it's just random.
Yeah,
I want
this
to throw
is like
back to a legendary moment though in Novi's 2. In one of Yushi's previous world records, he did like a very similar setup to what I did there. And when he went to throw his second flash, he accidentally threw it straight off the map and proceeded to just run past all the Novis anyways and not even get touched. So sometimes that happens. And sometimes you throw both flashes and you still die. So it's very, very much just pray and run.
Yeah, we're in the part of the game we like to call like the meme gauntlet. It's just a lot of pretty random like shady rooms, like all back to back.
Yeah, those archers, like we dubbed this the Kuba Tower because there's a runner, Kuba the Bear, one of our good friends. He got hit 4 times by arrows in this tower, and it was like he did everything right, just bad RNG.
And then here we're going to come to the meme bridge. Really actually super consistent. Perfect example of why we run on pro. But sometimes these shield dudes will meme you.
Yeah, if one runs up early, then you have to reset this room, because otherwise
you literally can't get past it without getting hit if one runs early.
Yeah, unless if you want to like shoot them with your sniper rifle, but
yeah,
like. All right, so the Gyarados, so the unarmored one dies to a rebound rocket launcher, or it doesn't matter, but he dies to a rocket launcher instantly. But the armored one takes that and semi-rifle shot to the Plaga, and it looks hard to do it, but it's actually not that bad. You just make sure you aim and hit the Plaga with the rifle.
Welcome.
So I guess upcoming here we have the Ditman glitch coming up. Mike, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the Ditman glitch is basically like the most famous as well as the most important glitch we use throughout the entire run. And it is all due to this shotgun that Waifu is buying right now, the Striker shotgun. You saw him put it on the left side of his inventory right there. And by equipping the shotgun and then switching to another weapon in mid-aim animation before the laser pops up, you can see right now that Waifu is just running like almost twice as fast. And it's pretty self-explanatory why that is so good for a speedrun. We can just basically go like 2 times speed whenever we want. Well, it's really like 1.5 times speed, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so like you're able to do certain animations faster. Like it's still not clear how it works per se, or like what activates, deactivates it. But certain cutscenes deactivate it. Getting hit deactivates it. Healing deactivates it. But so he's gonna do a skip here, which you can do without Ditman, but it's really hard. But with Ditman, it's easy, but still difficult.
Nice. That
So that's
second
really
one
good.
is really hard.
Yeah, that was the QTE skip. That's like arguably one of the harder tricks in the game. Basically, you're using the Ditman speed to outmaneuver the QTE. So one of the many things that disables QTE or disables Ditman glitch is QTEs. So if I were to respond to those QTEs, I'd have to re-Ditman so that I could gain my movement speed back again. But by doing very precise movement, I can dodge the QTE without actually having to use the buttons, and that means that I get to keep my speed. It saves like 10 seconds there or so if you get both dodges. And I got the bad RNG, so I got the harder second dodge, but I still got it, which is really good. That was nice. But yeah, Ditman, it stacks with the speed boost from running with rockets, nades, empty-handed, etc. So you also want to be running with those out, even with Ditman. In fact, even more so with Ditman. And it also doesn't only increase your movement speed, but it increases all animation speeds. So shooting, reloading, dropping down, climbing ladders, all of that stuff. All of it's faster with Ditman, which means that it's better to be Ditman than to not be Ditman in like almost literally every circumstance. And being Ditman in certain animations will actually break some of them, and we can use that to skip some certain sections like we will in this next room.
Yeah, this is going to be the first like out of bounds we do in the run. It should be noted that like once we get the Ditman glitch, the run becomes a lot more glitch heavy. Like the first half of the run is pretty glitchless on New Game.
Yeah. So how this works is that he's gonna ride that zip line, and then the zip line goes at a constant speed. But with Ditman, he's able to run back and activate the zip line again, and he'll start the zip line from where the zip line is. So since the zip line hasn't gone all the way back, he's gonna start like midway through it, and then he's gonna go out of bounds as a result.
Yeah, it's just gonna send you right out of bounds, and then you can walk around the boss fight trigger, and then right out of the room. And that's super useful because it skips a double Gigante boss fight there. Which we would need at least one rocket launcher for. And then we're into Novi's 3, which is the last time, hallelujah, that we'll have to encounter Novi's, but it's also the most likely place for it to die. Novi's get progressively worse the further into the run you get. That's not good.
Oh man, that guy was right there in your face. Uh-oh.
That was that
He's
did not make any
goaltending,
sense.
dude.
That's just classic RE4 for you.
I think I might be dead, potentially.
This might be a reset checkpoint.
Yeah, I think I would. Oh man, it's.
Yeah. That is Novi's 3 for you.
Yeah,
you get
that happens.
One little stuck, and you're just.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything he could have done about that. Like, it's just like he had a bad pattern when the Novi flew into the cave, and like they just waited for him right there.
Ooh, that can happen too.
Yeah, this guy turboed, man. Like I've had that happen, and it's so surprising.
Oh man, Novi's are great. Dead.
Yeah, as we've noted, like Novi's is one of the notorious like just run killers. Like what we like to say is that you don't have a run going until you're past this room right here.
Yeah, the run does not start until after Novi's 3.
Yeah, which sucks. It's like 45 minutes in, so
yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna have to go into 2 little caves there. That was the first one. Really good first cave. Now we're praying that these dudes are flying, because if they're flying, they die instantly to the shotgun, which they all were, which is really good. They can definitely be not flying, which is terrifying, because then you have to run past them on the way in and the way out.
One thing, we're doing that camera manipulation so he doesn't get a kick animation. Because if he does a kick animation, 1, it loses time. 2, he loses Ditman, so that loses more time.
Yeah. Every time that you lose Ditman, you have to re-Ditman, which means you have to open the inventory twice. So it's pretty slow. Especially, it's not as bad on PC. Especially, I have a really high-end PC, so loads are super fast. But, like, dude, if you're running like on an SD console, it's such a nightmare. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot. Like, no one envies the people that still run this game on like GameCube and PS2, because if you get hit and have to re-Ditman, it loses like legitimately like 30 seconds every single time, because the loading screens in the inventory are so long.
Yeah,
if you didn't have to heal, it probably wouldn't even be worth Ditmanning.
Yeah, for real.
G Pro for like GameCube and stuff.
Yeah, so we're out of Novi's 3, so the run can finally start. Woo!
Ooh, this guy like turboed over.
Yeah, he was going, dude. He wanted it.
Good adapting to that.
Put on the Adidas there.
Straight zooming. So here we're gonna do something to preserve our Ditman, but I'm gonna throw a grenade here to explode this door, and that's because kicking doors is one of the many things that loses you Ditman. So in order to reduce the amount of times we have to re-Ditman, we can go ahead and clear that door with a grenade.
So he does a movement that's specific, so that lady that pointed at him, if he was too close, then she would run at him. But since he was farther away or he waited, then she decided to point at him instead, so you don't have to dodge her.
This is that room earlier that Shrek mentioned that you can't shoot these things beforehand, which is really unfortunate because it would make that a lot easier.
Yeah, I think the R4 community calls this the tricle room because I keep getting hit by those bug pluggers all the time.
So here is a skip. This is called Minecart skip. This works on every single version of the game. This specific version of the skip only works at 60 FPS on PC. And it's important to note that specifically on PC because the console ports aren't true 60 FPS. They're like 59.99, some meme. So this version of it doesn't work. But basically, the way it works, when it does work, is that you dip into specifically the TMP and jump down and move in a specific way. And I'm not exactly sure why, but it'll clip you right through the minecart. And so the way out of bounds works in this game, if you ever get out of bounds, the instant the game realizes you're out of bounds, it creates a floor for you. And this floor, you can't raise or lower yourself on in any way, except for if you come into contact with a real floor. So basically what I did is I used this fake floor that I created to walk over to the end of the minecart section. Because normally, if you don't know, this is a big long auto scroller where you ride a minecart. And the minecart track itself actually is inbounds. So I was able to clip through into that inbounds area again. And now I'm walking on the inbound area all the way to the end of the minecart. And this saves quite a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
You take a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's by far. Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, you have to pick up additional items to go through the minecart ride to shoot enemies as well.
Mm-hmm.
By far the biggest, like, out of bounds in the whole game. I remember, like, that was a historic day when that was found.
Yeah, like, this is not the newest one, but it's compared to the lifespan of the game, it's relatively new. I'd say, like, what, 3 years that this was discovered on 60 FPS, and, like, people popped off, and, like, everyone that had a PB, like, just, like, tried to PB again once the skip was found.
I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's something like that. Like, but yeah, I'd say it's still fairly recent. Like compared to, you know, the rest of the game.
Yeah, there is another version of that skip that you can do that works on every version, though, that involves starting the minecart and then jumping off at a precise point. Yeah, now we're in the Salazar statue room. As you can see in the middle of the room, there is a giant statue of Salazar. It's pretty goofy, but yeah, he's just gonna be. Waifu is just going to be jumping between these platforms with his TMP.
There's actually an interesting glitch that can happen in that room, where if you jump at exactly the wrong time, you can actually clip out of bounds, creating you can create a floor, like I was mentioning earlier, instead of landing on the hands. Unfortunately, this is not useful whatsoever. You're just stuck. It actually loses a bunch of time.
Yeah, we started memeing about that out of bounds because, like, there would always be someone coming into our Discord going, like, guys. God. Yeah, I just found a new out of bounds. Like,
I did that too. Yeah, dude, guys, I can't believe this. I found this out of bounds. This is so sick. Like, I just started running this game and, like, this is awesome out of bounds I found. This is gonna be great. And everyone's like, yeah, we done that on accident all the time.
Yeah, I think, like, in the R4 speedrunning Discord, we get that, like, once every 2 or 3 months, and we have to sadly tell them, sorry, sorry, dude.
Like, yeah, it's already a thing. We know.
That's actually bad because it just straight up kills your run if it happens.
Oh yeah, it such a feels bad.
Yeah, shoutouts to JC Strickland. He's like labbed the game for a long time in terms of finding glitches. Like he's definitely tried to do Chimera Wall skip and like other skips and out of bounds, and it's unfortunate we have not found a way to like skip the Salazar elevator. But yeah, so we're on the elevator part. But yeah, so Waifu's going to position himself in a very specific spot. So when he shoots the striker, it's going to knock everyone off.
Yeah, because this is a patented classic Capcom elevator. Capcom is really bad at making elevators. They essentially designed them so that they have only enough power to carry like 3 people at a time, which means that it stops and it goes back. In other games, it goes back down. Once you reach too many people, but we can like perfectly just make it so that never happens by standing in a very specific spot and knocking off everyone as soon as they land. It's one of the harder strats in the game. And I was using something that's really kind of new there as well. It's called Ditman to the striker. Originally, it was thought that you couldn't aim the striker when you were Ditmaning because it ends the Ditman. And generally, this is true. But on keyboard and mouse, if you hold space or the key for knife and then don't do any directional inputs but aim the striker, then you keep the Ditman with the striker, which is actually super powerful for that section. Oh. Good old
Red 9
inventory.
stock.
Dude, everyone really just wants to buy the Red 9 stock.
Classic.
I keep buying the mine thrower.
Yeah, Mine Thrower or Red 9 stock, the two really good ones.
So once again, we show the power of the rocket launcher. It makes everything go faster.
Yeah, this boss is actually interesting because it's one of those bosses where there is actually a skip for it at 30 FPS, but it doesn't currently work at 60. And it actually, I don't think it saves any time, really. Like, it saves like very minuscule amount of time, maybe like 5 seconds. Most of the time it would save, if you could do it at 60, would be because of the amount of money you would save from the rocket launcher.
Yeah. That's the real reason to do it, is to save yourself an extra rocket launcher.
Yeah, for sure. And that skip is great because basically what you do is you clip out of bounds and then you just walk right past him, which means that he is forever stuck against the wall. I don't know what his plan was, but if Leon were just to, like, I don't know, leave, then he will be stuck to that wall to the end of time. And that just is hilarious to me.
Yeah, fun fact, like when you leave the room, you can re-enter it, grab the money that you would get from normally killing him, and you can leave the room again.
Yeah, and he's still
Yeah.
alive too. He's like, I'm gonna make you suffer just like Ash.
Yeah, I
will.
think he's just there, and I think the music has stopped playing.
It's really awkward in the room.
Yeah, so this is the island skip that we were talking about earlier. This was discovered like within the past year, and like it's like people think about, oh, you like for the minecart skip, you jump down at a specific spot, you go out of bounds, but no one ever thought about climbing up a specific spot. And this is what you
so
see
we just
from
climb right out of bounds, and then we use a QT that I didn't even know existed, honestly. I think that I've heard that QT only ever plays if you kill literally everyone in the room, and since they don't spawn, the QT is active. That's what I've been told. I don't know if that's 100% true, but yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you
I
just
think
use
so.
that QT to zip yourself through the ceiling, and then you skip the whole room. You don't have to do any of the mirror puzzle and stuff. It's really cool. And that was another trick that we used to think was only 30 FPS exclusive. But that version of the skip is actually faster than the old version too. So everyone got a new skip. Is really nice.
Low key, I don't miss losing runs to misplaced laser mirrors.
Yeah. Well, and that's because you had to YOLO the laser mirror. Like, there was a setup for it, but you didn't do them in the correct order, so you just kind of got to the end and then prayed it lined up.
You have infamous Oven Man.
The Oven Man. Dude. Do you know
This
the
guy-
Oven Man?
This guy definitely scared a lot of people as a kid, including myself.
Oh yeah, dude. Man, it's dirty.
So we have the garage or shutter skip, however we call it, but basically with the Ditman, if you time going through the garage door at a specific animation, because normally when you go up to the garage door, it closes, but it stays open when the enemies are throwing the dynamite. So if you move right when they're raising their arms up for the dynamite, you can run through on Ditman.
Yeah, you need a very specific setup for it, but it's actually like not too bad. You just say later, guys, and they just let you go.
Oh man, so we got Regenerators coming up. This is where everyone says this is the scariest enemy in the whole game. So
It's so spooky.
Yeah.
It's so scary. Oh, later, man.
yeah, but essentially this chapter 5-1 is a lot of execution. There's not that many that I don't think there's RNG things really that happens. Like maybe at the end, but in general, it's just all movement and just execution. So like if you want to practice like getting better execution, like just practice this chapter, in my opinion.
Oh, the dreaded dun 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 dun. That you're standing like a millimeter too far away from the door.
Yeah. You're 1 inch too far away, streamer.
But yeah, you actually don't have to kill any of those generators. You only have to kill one. And He's actually not that hard to kill. You don't need like the infrared scope or anything. You can actually do it with a knife really easily, but that's super slow. It takes like 200 knives. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to shoot him like a rocket launcher, just like everything else in this game. But I figured I would at least tell you about the knife strat because it's pretty funny. He just like flops on the ground like a fish and you just like poke him over and over again.
Yeah, so we see Ashley is there, but we need a key to get through, so Waifu's gonna grab that key.
Yeah, so there is actually only one Iron Maiden or Regenerator you need to kill in the entire run, and we get the rocket just to kill this Regenerator fast. Every other Regenerator we're just gonna like run past, basically.
And honestly, oh, I saved the CRTs. Nice. Someone can
The
play
melee
Smash on
players
those.
will be pleased.
Yeah.
Oh man, thanks guys. Okay, so we're about to approach end of 5-1, and then we're gonna get Ashley back, which is I
always
feel
great.
indifferent about getting Ashley back. So
I hate these Ashley rooms. Like, I don't know, 5-2 is yikes. But it would also be a great time for donations, if you have any.
Thank you. I would like to use this moment as a reminder of our upcoming bid wars that we have in the run Biped, which is in fact coming up right in 2 runs. You can select the language that the game is going to display. You have an option of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 languages in total. And currently Japanese is in the lead with a very cool $123.45, followed by German with $72, and on third place we have French with 55. So if you want to change that for the Biped 90% run, you still have some time until the end of the next run. So get the donations in, and also remember that we have a bonus run of Super Mario 64 that is going to be run at the end of the marathon if we reach the incentive of $10,000. Currently it sits at $665. If you want to see that run, if you want to get the marathon a bit longer, then please put some donations towards a great cause, which is the Alzheimer Fund. Thank you so much.
So this is like the scariest strat in the whole game, at least in my opinion. It's called the home run strat. Basically, we're playing baseball here. Ooh, the double. Yikes. We're playing baseball here. We're going to run around in circles and try to get these enemies flashed and just hope that they don't kill us while we try to get the wrecking ball again. Yeet. Nice. Very good run.
oh wow, you got it. You got the clip.
Yeah, the clip. You can get the wrecking ball to push you through the wall, so you get the door a little bit earlier, and it looks funny.
We're about to go up on the bulldozer section. This is an infamous section. No one knows why or how Ashley knows how to drive a bulldozer. Must be part of her presidential child, training or whatever, education. But the premise is you drive the bulldozer to who knows where, and you just want to get out of here.
Yeah, we just are along for the ride. Ashley's going the scenic route.
Yeah. If you're the president's daughter, you apparently get training for heavy machinery.
You never know, dude. It came in handy. It's better to have and not need, right? It's like bringing a sweater. Yeah. You never know when you're going to need to learn how to drive heavy machinery.
This is a pretty awesome sweater, not going to lie.
Driving I mean, if that's your sweater, that's a cool sweater. Just saying.
Yeah, this is the longest auto-scroller in the entire game, basically. And if you stand on the back of the truck while it's moving, these guys just don't know what to do and just kind of attack nothing.
Yeah, so Waifu is probably just letting all the enemies accumulate here because he wants to grab money.
Yeah, that's the idea, but it's surrounded by what is inevitably handgun ammo. So
The dreaded handgun ammo.
And then, so Wife is doing a manipulation here, where if you walk backwards during the second phase of enemies, they don't jump on the truck. Oh, never mind, that guy jumped on. I lied.
it's still for the most part true. But basically, what we did is we got the enemies to all run together at the back there. I kind of missed it, but they mighty morph into this truck, and they're actually alive back there, so it reduces the amount of enemy spawns that happen right here. If I did it perfectly, then there'd be no enemy spawns actually, which is really, really useful for conserving your shotgun ammo.
Oh, how low are we on shotgun ammo?
I'm always low. What we got? Like 30? That's not too bad.
You're still good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the first part of this auto scroller is like not that big a deal. I think you're actually gonna have to you're gonna be forced to pick that up unless it disappears right now.
Nope.
Oh, nice. But yeah, the first part of this truck section is not that bad, but the second part can be very, very scary because the enemies then can start spawning Plagas.
Yeah, just like any good auto scroller, there's things on it that can insta kill you, and if you die, you have to do the whole thing again. It's classic. Thankfully, you get a checkpoint here, but once we get to the top of this lift here, that's so if we die, then we gotta do all this again.
It's like a 3-minute time loss. It's just devastating if it does happen.
It's probably like the biggest time loss in the whole run. Like, if you die anywhere, and that's worst case scenario, that is worst case scenario. $27,000.
But yeah, at this point in the auto scroller, Waifu is just going to be basically killing everything he can. Like no holds barred.
Yeah, and you'll notice our HP is still like as low as it possibly can be. That's because there's no point in the run where it's actually worth it to pick up a yellow orb. They're just like really slow, and they actually sell for a lot of money. So we combined a red, green, yellow to sell once we first got into castle, and that's the only time we ever pick up a yellow orb.
Yeah. There is like a semi backup strat before Novies 2 if you wanted to do it, but in general, like the rule of thumb is like if you're gonna get hit by Novies, you might as well just take it, like it's over.
And here's 2 Plagas. Oh boy.
Gold Plaga.
Something that should be mentioned is that when Plagas are lying on the floor like that and you try to kill them with a shotgun, they become extremely tanky for whatever reason. Like they will just take like over 10 shots to kill.
Nice, that was a good truck.
Yeah, very good truck. I'm a little bit low on money, so I'm gonna have to grab an extra little thing here, but that's no big deal. Ideally, I'd pick up enough money on the truck that I would have 30,000 here, and I could just go straight to the merchant. But I'm like about 3K short because I wasn't able to pick up pretty much any money on the truck due to the way that they spawned.
Yeah, the reason we want to have enough money to buy the rocket launcher here is to avoid selling stuff, because it's more optimal to sell everything at the upcoming merchant over this one.
Yeah, selling all your stuff in one spot is a lot faster than selling it in 2 spots. And it's actually super fast to get to buy a rocket. So like if you have the money already, it costs like no time. So and upcoming we got
coming up
the best part of the run. Everyone's favorite. There is only one unskippable cutscene in this whole game, and this is it. And it's only unskippable because it has QTEs in it. So it's become kind of iconic with RE4.
Yeah, every top runner knows the dialogue to this. So they're like, if they're feeling happy or feeling really bored, they'll just recite the whole dialogue as it's happening. But it'd probably be a good time for donations probably here.
No.
No,
After.
not yet. After, okay. My bad.
Been a long time, comrade.
Oh, I see.
Krauser. I died in a crash 2 years ago. Is that what they told you? You're the one who kidnapped Ashley. You catch on quick, as expected. After all, you and I both know where we come from. Ha! Ha! Hoo! What do you want? Hua! Hua! The sample Sadler developed, that's all. Ha! Shing! Leave Ashley out of this. Oh, I needed her to buy Sadler's trust in me. Like you, I'm American. Barrel. Hua! Shing! You got her involved just for that? Ah, ting, 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 ting. Yeah. All for Umbrella's sake. Umbrella? Almost let it slip. Enough talk. Die, comrade. Here. Ting. Ugh. Ada. Well, if it isn't the capital D colon. Yeah, it's a great time for donations now.
Thank you. Oh, that was quite the impressive voice acting right there. I would like to remind all of our viewers that you are eligible for some nice prizes if you donate. And that is, if you donate a total of $50, you are eligible for winning a Nintendo Switch system. Remember that the Switch is not region locked, so no matter where you're from, you will be able to play with it. And for a minimum total donation of $30, you can win a ViewSonic Elite monitor, which are excellent monitors. And remember that all donations, you don't have to donate the amount at once. It is cumulative, so you can donate $10 now, $20 later, and then boom, you're eligible for the $30 prize, which is perfect if you want to support multiple streamers. You will also always support the Alzheimer Fonden, which is a great cause. So please get some more donations in. Thank you.
So not a lot of people know, but the QTs in this game, a lot of people remember them being super hard. That's because on some of the older consoles, you actually have to hit the right button. On PC though, you can just mash all of the possible combinations and it always instantly solves it correctly. So that's like super nice.
Yeah, we have coming up now like the boss rush, as we like to call it, even though it's just like two bosses. It is two pretty long boss fights, honestly, that are just back to back. And this is probably one of the tougher splits in the game as well, even though like these fights, well, this first fight isn't that bad. But yeah, this is U3. We in the community sometimes call him Bono. And Waifu is just going to be running past him here because, you know, we're speedrunning. And he's just going to be trying to shoot all these green lights and hitting all these triggers and then moving from crate to crate because we are in like 3 crates that are all suspended in midair like right now.
Nice, that was really good.
Oh, nice.
So if you do enough damage to him there, you actually manipulate him to jump up in the ceiling, which means he'll always jump down there, which is really, really nice. Usually it takes 2 shots, but I hit a really good shotgun spread, so I only had to do 1. And there I'm going to throw a nade through the wall, and it's going to break open the one on the other side, which makes it so that it skips all the backtracking in this section. And then this boss is actually really, really strong. Super tough. Way tougher than all the other bosses we fought so far. All the other bosses died in 1 rocket. This boss dies in 1 rocket and 1 knife slash. Well, 2 if you knife too early. He is significantly stronger than all the other bosses. A whole knife slash.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has iframes when he first when you go through the first phase. So that's why you have to wait a bit or to knife him. Otherwise, if you knife him too early, then he doesn't actually die.
Super strong boss.
Yeah, and now we are going to be moving on to the Krauser boss fight. He's the guy we saw in that movie we saw just a little bit ago. And we're also going to be doing the last merchant stop in the entire run. We're going to be ditching the TMP, and we're going to be getting ourselves a Killer 7, which is one of the magnums in the game. We're going to need it for the upcoming fights, as well as the upcoming sections.
Yeah, so people casually, normally they like the Broken Butterfly better. It is a stronger weapon when you fully upgrade it, but for a speedrun, we don't have the money to, or time to want to go to the merchant to upgrade it, so we just buy the Killer 7, and it's powerful enough to get through Krauser optimally.
Krauser, as well as the final boss, as well as the 5-4 section.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and Krauser's actually gotten a lot different recently. Like over the last year or so, a lot of the strats have changed. It's really interesting. Mm-hmm. We used to use a lot of knife, and now we use a lot more Killer 7 for the Krauser fight to make it faster. Oh wow, I can't believe I hit that. So basically there, I need to headshot him, so it'll do enough damage that I can go ahead and run up here. But there's a couple of different attacks that he can... Nope, he's got sick dodges. A couple of different attacks he can do. The hand grenade's the worst, because you have to shoot him fast enough that he will drop the nade on himself and do extra damage. Otherwise, you'll have to shoot him twice, or just run and do the old strat. But that was a really nice shot.
RNG there with what Krauser does to you if you're running across that one little pathway.
Yeah, so for this second phase of Krauser, Waifu did a very specific setup. So he shot him in the head and had to step back a bit and then shoot Krauser again. If he shot too early, Krauser would just go into the dodge mode and just start doing QTEs or whatever, and that loses time.
Yep, and we're actually clipping through that boulder there. It's because the animation itself is faster for pushing because I'm in Ditman, but the pushing itself actually isn't. So your model starts to phase through things when you do pushes like that, and you'll actually go all the way through it if you just keep pushing. What is it that you fight for, comrade? The donations, I suppose. And here we're gonna pretend. Oh, 1 second. Here we're gonna pretend that it's RE2 remake, and we're just gonna knife him to death. And if you want to go ahead, go ahead. Perfect.
Oh, excuse me. I just heard donations and wanted to go off because we have $50 from Nordic Patty. Thank you so much. And they say Harvey must be destroyed.
Nice. This.
Yeah, so see that.
It's a little too far away. That's fine.
Yeah, Krauser is really weak to the knife. I think it does magnum levels of damage. Which it's really funny because when you find that out casually, and then you're like, "Wow, that's crazy! How do you knife him?" And then you watch a speedrun, and then you just see them set up a way to knife him a million times.
Yeah, and knife headshots actually do more damage to Krauser as well. So trying to set it up there so that I could stun lock him in the corner with knife headshots. I was just a tiny bit too far away. But it was still really good. It's actually one of the harder setups in the game for sure.
Yeah, so we're in the last stretch. We're at the military base, and there's a decent amount of RNG-ish that can happen, but in terms of how do you get past the section, you just gotta go fast. There's no other way around it.
Go fast, pray, run. This is what we know as 5-4. And 5-4, there's a couple things that kill runs that are RNG in this game. You got Lago, you got Lago, you got Cabin, Novies. The last one, definitely 5-4. 5-4 is a total nightmare when it comes to killing runs because lots of randomness here, and a lot of times, not much you can do about it. You just get hit in the butt by an arrow, and you get hit by another arrow, and we've been stockpiling stockpiling health so that when we get here, as you can see, I have an inventory full of health. And I am just trying to make sure I don't die. And that's really all I can do, because no matter how much health you bring, no matter what, like, you're pretty much just praying, because 5-4 is scary, scary.
Yeah, so the new strat for this, like, it's very, you know, like, it sounds so obvious, like, just go fast, but it's really strict, because, like, if you go slow on a certain cycle, or, like, you go too slow or too fast, and it's really bad.
Oh, right in the face. I see, I was just a little tiny bit too slow there, and so I got shot right before I climbed the ladder. And now I'm probably going to get shot when I try to jump down. What in this archer?
Oh my gosh, I just saw that.
Insane. Insane reactions. And the best part of all of this is that door that we just opened has a crash on it called 5-4 crash. That can happen sometimes. It's pretty rare, but it can certainly happen. I do have backup saves just in case and whatnot, but it certainly can happen.
Yeah,
so you'll get through this
on PBs. So
yes. Okay. No crash. That's really good. Certainly a great spot for a crash. You know, you get through all this super hard stuff. You're like, oh my gosh, like we're finally gonna make it. Like, is this run's actually good? And then bam, crash. Nothing you can do. The run's dead. And with that, there's only one more hard room in the whole game, which is really, really cool. It's even more RNG heavy than the last one, but it's the last thing in the whole run that actually like has quite a level of difficulty to it. And I guess someone else can explain that. It does have a manip, but just like most manips in this game, it's not perfect.
Yeah, there's a specific line that you want to make. So all the enemies. So basically, at the end of this room, the enemies are not at the door where you want to be, or at the hallway. They're not blocking the hallway. If you take only if you take a very specific line to hit the switch. But even then, going all that, where all the enemies spawn and you know, like how they aggro you and stuff, it's still RNG, which is very unfortunate because considering this is the last part of the run.
So here, oh, he died just too far away. Oh, of course.
So what Waifu tried to do, he tried to throw the flash so it would stun the people coming out of that door, so they would hold the door open. So
it worked.
It was unfortunate, yeah.
But I killed the dude just too far away that I couldn't reach the key that he grabbed, or that he dropped, because you need to kill the red hat dude so that you can get the key and you can leave. But sometimes it doesn't play that well. Although, believe it or not, this is actually like really solid for a war room, even with all that memes. They can go way, way worse.
Yeah, you could have died. That's what could have happened. Alright, so we're out of here. The rest of the run is pretty easy now. So
yep. It's got the final boss, a couple more rooms, and we'll be good to go.
So here's just another wait, follow me, Ashley Manip to aggro the enemies.
Ouch.
Oh, you're alive.
Somehow. Sometimes Leon has Sturdy from Pokemon, where he like literally can't die if in one hit if you have max HP. Sometimes not though. So one to the kneecap, one to the eye, another one to the eye, and Ada gives us her pity so that we can actually beat the boss.
Yeah, this is another reason why the Killer 7 is used over the Broken Butterfly for the Red Hat guy at 5-4 and for Sadler. Alright, yeah, so that special rocket, the red rocket, will kill Sadler instantly if he's anywhere on your screen, unless if he's like around the edges. But like if he's like somewhere in the middle, like 3/4 of your screen, like he will instantly die.
Yeah, it's virtually impossible to miss that rocket. which is nice. So here is a time-honored tradition that you must do if you are an RE4 speedrunner. You must do the Ditman glitch into the jet ski, otherwise your run is invalid. That's what Pitted said in his tutorial.
Yeah.
Bye, Ashley.
So remember when the Ditman speeds up animation? It speeds this one up too.
Speeds up all the animations. And fun fact, not a lot of people know, I can't do it because you can't do it on keyboard and mouse. But if you hold down the triggers, you actually do spins and flips when you're doing this section. No way to do it on keyboard and mouse, unfortunately. But
People have tried.
I've tried.
Time is coming up soon.
Yeah, time's gonna come up when the screen flashes to white. It's gonna be like 3, 2, 1, time.
Nice. Good run.
Yeah, that was a pretty solid run. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and thanks for having me. This is an awesome cause. Should stay tuned for the rest of the marathon. I am Waifu again. I full-time streamer on Twitch. I speedrun this game and a lot of other games, Devil May Cry games, a bunch of other RE series games, Dead Space, stuff like that. Also check out my homies Trikelman and Mike Wave, both really good runners of this game. And thank you so much, ESA, for having us. I appreciate it. And
thank you guys.
Let's just check out the IGT real fast, and then we'll be good to go. $133. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
For a marathon, that's like not at all.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, good run.
Thank you. And that's gonna be it.
Yeah, like the RE4 community is great. If anyone wants to speedrun it, like we're all here to help out. So
great speedrun too. Good community, really awesome people.
Yeah, and like the tricks that you learn, like it pays off immensely. Like you feel really good when you learn how to do village for the first time, because that's a hard part of the run that comes like 2 minutes into the game. So
yeah.